Good evening, good day, good morning out there in listening land. This is Josh.
And Marichen.
Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Confessional Podcast.
Woohoo!
We actually are trying to be consistent this time. Yay, life is helping.
Look at us being consistent.
I know, right?
Wow.
After what's going on with the old 2020, it's kind of crazy. But we are here. We have a very special episode to talk about, but I do have a little bit of news. So those of you out there in listening land that may or may not have known, Taylor Swift recently for indie record shops sent out a whole bunch of signed CDs, and I missed out on a couple of times. One, because I was working. Two, because I was working. I finally got my copy, and here's the funny thing. You Need to Calm Down was on radio when I was heading into work. And something told me to check Facebook, and also the Discord group for some of us. You know, we're talking about it. You know who you are. Thank you so very much. If you're listening now, and got the idea in the head to contact my local shop, one of the local shops, because my local shop is a all vinyl. So they don't sell CDs, so that's why they didn't get some copies. But the other two record stores that do sell CDs got copies. And something told me, let me message them before work. And lo and behold, I had a copy waiting for me at my lunch break.
That's great.
I know. I plan on getting a frame, but guess what? Guess what's out of stock right now?
Frames?
CD frames. I wonder why.
I don't know. I mean, she just dropped like a bajillion signed CDs everywhere.
Yeah, and what I find kind of funny is, even though I got some disparaging comments from some certain circles, I'm not naming names, but if you think about it, her putting out a lot of signed CDs kind of devalues it in a way, in a good way.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the more you put out, the less value it's going to hold. So I feel like she's kind of doing it more for her fans than for its own value.
Yeah. So I'm very happy to have that. Also, if any of us sound glitchy or digitized, we tried our best to troubleshoot everything. But let's be honest, it's 2020. The robots have probably taken over by now.
Yep, that was the whole September. That's what I had on my bingo, is that the robots took over. So far, September is working out bingo-wise for
exactly. Well, we're trying.
I didn't get double hurricanes last month, but I got robots this month.
Yeah. And it rained on your record day. I swear the rain from on record day, if you got any, was from that. What are those hurricanes?
Thankfully, it rained later in the afternoon.
Good.
It didn't rain like during record store day, like while we were outside. So
that's a good thing. Oh, good news. You remember how I was trying to track down the poster because I didn't get one? Somebody had an extra one.
Oh, yay.
So they said, I don't know what I could get it out to you. But all I have to do is go get a poster, like a poster mailer, and get it out. And I'm like, I don't care if you get it to me by Christmas.
Yeah, hey, there you go. That's awesome.
I have a couple of packages to send out this weekend, so we're recording this kind of late in the evening. So as soon as we're done, I'm going to go package those up so I can send them off tomorrow.
Yeah, I've got a package I need to get sent off tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I might use something online to pay for it. That way I don't have to stand in the line. I know there's ways you can do it. I'll probably ask one of my friends who uses shipping, overnight stuff, to do that. So I'm going to do that. But yay, the trials and tribulations of adult life during the pandemic.
Woohoo!
But have you been listening to anything interesting over the week?
I've been listening to some new stuff that's come out. I've also been trying to catch up because I always try and do like an albums of the year video, like
Mm-hmm.
of albums that I'm interested in, that I listened to, what I liked, what I really didn't like, things kind of like that. So I've been listening to a lot of new stuff recently. And of course, I always listen to Queen. So I've
Of
been
course.
listening to them too, which is not out of the usual. But I listened to Katy Perry's new album, Smile. It was really good.
Okay.
I don't know if you've listened to it.
I have not yet. That's on my list. I know there's like a whole bunch of artists coming out that like really good stuff that I'm like interested in coming out soon.
Yeah, and Hockey Dad put out an album at the end of July, and I finally got around to listening to it like a couple weeks ago. It's called Brain Candy. It's awesome.
Question. Is that anywhere related to Soccer Mommy?
No, Hockey Dad is actually an Australian like surf punk duo. They're super cool.
You
My
mentioned
favorite
Australian.
is
How have I not heard this
yeah.
shit?
Yeah, I know. My favorite is actually their debut album, Baronia. And then they have an album called Blend In, and this is their third album, Brain Candy. It is good. It's not as good as like their first album. That just kind of holds a special place in my heart, but this album is still really good. I also listened to Paris's new album, Use Me. Not my favorite. Everyone's like raving about it, but it's not my favorite Paris album.
I need to take a listen to it. It's on my radar to do that. But yeah, there's so much that's coming out right now. I listened to Cedar's recent album, and it's pretty good. If you are a fan of Cedar, you will like it. If you're not that big a fan, there is enough there to like.
Yeah.
Now, is there some filler? Of course, but as a Cedar fan, I like some of that stuff. But even when some of the filler puts in, those guys know how to write music. So even if it's filler, it's still well written. It's still not forgettable.
Yeah.
Let's see. I actually wrote a media review of it. I'm actually starting to write legit reviews. So, what else have you been listening to? I ask as I look up my own review in my Google Drive.
Jared's been listening to the new Coulter Wall album. I've not really like heard it all the way through, and I can't remember the title of it. Fake fan. But I've been like kind of listening to that with him a little bit. I mean, it's good. I still like Coulter Wall's just like self-titled album better, but like that's really the only album I know in full from him. This one I've just kind of been listening to with Jared, just around the house, not really paying attention.
I know Ocean Alley put out a new album I need to take a listen to.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to one of my favorite pop punk bands, Knuckle Puck. They're putting out an album this month. And Machine Gun Kelly is putting out an album this month, which I'm really excited about. He was supposed to put out an album sometime back in the summer. I think it was July maybe that it was supposed to come out. I can't remember because all my months are running together because of COVID. Yeah. But he rescheduled it for this month. It's the end of this month. And it's supposed to be more of a punk album, which I'm super excited about because he's always had that like rap rock influence. Yep. So I'm really excited to see where he takes this album. I've strayed away from listening to a lot of the singles. I've only listened to the first single he dropped. So I'm trying my hardest to not listen to anything else because I really want to be surprised by what this album sounds like.
Yep. A couple of things that are coming out that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, the solo debut of Corey Taylor. Y'all know me. I love me some Corey Taylor. Sometime either this month or next month, I'm looking up just to make sure I have it. Baby Metal's coming out with a live album. And I had not heard much of the new album, but I definitely know that it has a feature from Sabaton. And if you don't know who Sabaton is, they are a metal band that talks about historical military battles. They don't talk about the winners and losers. They talk about those men and women that fought in those battles, just to honor those men and women who fought in the battles no matter what the side is. That's what I've always
Nice.
that's what I've always loved about them. Forget the politics of, the actual military. Forget the the purpose of the wars. They cover just the battles and who was in those battles, whether good or bad. But hearing a dude from Europe sing Japanese, and if have you heard Baby Metal?
I've not. I've heard the name, but I've not listened to them.
Think of like K-pop kawaii meets death metal.
Interesting.
It is.
I wish I could play you like what just went through my mind because I had the most interesting picture just like pop into my mind.
Yeah.
So,
But there's a new live album. My favorite song, I can't even pronounce it because I butcher. I always butcher Japanese, but it's from their debut album. It's not even like the Gimme Chocolate or Headbanger. It's one that reminds me of an anime intro, and it was just so well. I get chills. Like the 16-year-old singing on here, I get chills.
oh wow.
Also, have you seen the article where Post Malone played guitar in an extreme metal jam band?
I have not. I try to like not look at a bunch of Post Malone stuff because he just kind of annoys me. Is that like just should I not say that?
No, if that's not your cup of tea. You're fine.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it and I was actually laughing because I think it's kind of cool that Ozzy brought him on. I have seen enough of the Bud Light commercials that I can kind of chuckle, and thank goodness it's not overplayed for me. But I just found it kind of cool that a guy who normally makes like this, or artists that love metal that don't play metal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Demi Lovato, she's more of the pop side, but she loves metal music. So it's kind of like I love hearing that because metal and rock can really just bring a lot of people together.
Yeah. I mean, it is cool to see that like other artists like more than just the one genre.
Exactly.
I definitely like seeing that. And I know that like I've heard people talk about Post Malone liking rock and metal. He's just never been something that I've been interested in.
Yep.
And I don't know, he kind of just weirds me out a little bit. Like, and I don't mean that in like a mean way,
No,
but like
course.
I just get a weird vibe from him.
I haven't had the time to dig into it, but I know Marilyn Manson's coming out with a new album.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Who else?
I don't know.
Napalm Death is coming out. Oh, I heard the new song from the Deftones from their album Ohms. It is good. Deftones are coming out with Ohms later this month. We're recording this in September. Jeez, it's September already. Yike.
I know, right?
There's a new one coming out from The Neighborhood that I'm interested in. Sufjan Stevens is coming out with a new one, too. Let's see. In October, of course, Corey Taylor. Bon Jovi is coming out with a new something.
No.
Matt Berdinger is coming out with what looks like a solo album. Do you know who Matt Berdinger is?
I don't.
Lead
Should
singer
I?
of The National.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not a huge fan of The National. I've never really dove too deep into their discography.
Who else? Blue Oyster Cult is coming out with a new album this year.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if I should be like,
I'm kind of but I kind of want to hear it. Brothers Osborne are coming out with a new album. Let's see. Who else? I kind of like. So we're going to move backwards now to the ones that I haven't heard yet that I should hear. And then we'll kind of go from there. Let me just tell you, I need to take a listen to the new Katy Perry. Let's see here. From Ashes to New, I need to hear that one. Let's see. Also, apparently the Killers dropped a new album. How I didn't hear that, I don't know.
I don't know how I didn't hear about that either. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the Killers, everybody loves the Killers, I feel like.
I I'm kicking myself because Biffy Clyro put out a new one, and I have. Well, Biffy Clyro came out with a campaign where they sent you a postcard with just a pick, like a color swatch to promote their new album. What I find weird is I only bought one record from them, and that was the Record Store Day one. And then I tweeted them one time about something, and they still mailed me it. And yet I didn't check out the album. And if you're listening, I apologize.
It's interesting.
In Hark's wake, Deep Purple put out an album. How did I miss that?
Yeah, I knew they did. I'm just not a big Deep Purple fan. So.
I like Deep Purple. Let's see. You talked about Hockey Dad. I should probably check that out.
Yeah, I think you'd really like that. It's a super fun listen.
Yep. Let's see. The Naked and Famous came out with a new one. Let's see here. I'll probably have to check out Neck Deep.
Oh, yeah. That album rocks.
Ellie Goulding put out a new album. How did I miss this? Bush put out a new album. My Morning Jacket.
New albums.
My Morning Jacket came out with another album. Let's see. Who else? Bury Tomorrow came out with one. I could tell you some that I do kind of like. Let's see here. Lamb of God came out with a new one. Mushroom Head came out with a new one. Jeez, here's a name blast from the past. Jason Mraz.
Yep. I seen that and I was like, wow. I've not listened to him since middle school.
Okay. You're going to cringe. Somehow the Black Eyed Peas slipped an album out.
Oh yeah, I heard that, but I've not listened to the album. I feel like it's not good.
No,
it's probably not going to be good.
It's not even like those ones where it's so bad you have to listen to it. No, just stay away.
I figured as much.
I need to listen to Phoebe Bridgers. I keep hearing it on top albums of the year. I'm going to finally buckle down and listen to it. Do you know who Larkin Poe is?
Yes, I have just kind of recently gotten into them.
New album came out this year. Okay, so I got to be a little sad here because this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, we have something here called the American Music Festival. And it's 3 nights on multiple stages where Live played last year. We've had Three Doors Down, Goo Goo Dolls. That's How I Saw Stone Temple Pilots. We've had REO Speedwagon. And they were supposed to do a live stream. We're recording this on the 4th. They were supposed to have a live stream tonight, but they're going to reschedule it. Goo Goo Dolls, Larkin Poe, Bret Michaels. And it's a free online, from what I'm reading, it's free online. You can listen to it. They're scheduling it back to October because of technical issues. But if I was thinking about that correctly, had we not had the virus, Larkin Poe would have been playing here.
Dang. I want to listen to Bret Michaels. I freaking love Bret Michaels. I want to see him live so bad.
I have seen him live, and I saw him with 38 Special and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Let me tell you, I have a story. Am I
gonna be disappointed
No.
with him because he
No.
was the love of my life when I was
No,
5?
actually, this is an amazing story. This is a good story. Trust me, this is a really good story.
Good. I don't want to ruin 5-year-old Mariken's love life.
This will actually probably. It's really cool what happened. Let me just say that it's really cool what happened. I actually got a signed hat during that concert from him. It's Mom's, but there was one year I dressed up as Bret Michaels and the hat sold the costume.
That's so cool.
Yep. You know he's from Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, I knew he was from somewhere in Pennsylvania, but
He's from my hometown of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Okay, so Alex Leahy put out some new music. Really good. Ailstorm put out some new music. Curse of the Crystal Coconut, really good. You know who put out a good album? Sepultura. If you want some really good, hard-hitting metal, the minute I heard the song is called Capital Enslavement. Right now, that is my top metal song of the year. Like, you know me, I rarely kind of geek out at some songs. Holy crap, this song. It is that good. So
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yes, obviously from the name of the title of it, it is sound like a protesty type of song. So if it's not for you, don't take a listen to it. And I'm speaking to the commenters, even though we don't get comments sometimes. Also, I'm going to address the comment. I know we missed a bunch in our celebration episode. We want to apologize on that. I know we got some comments on that. I went to go read them, and they're not there. Weird. YouTube is weird.
I know YouTube has been dropping the ball lately.
Yeah, we're not even going to go into that. Airborne Toxic Event put out something. Carly Rae Jepsen put out something. Man, everything. Tiesto put out the London sessions. How did I miss that? Okay, we can't remember everything. Now that I'm looking back, I'm like, yeah. How did I miss that? Of course, Pedals for Armor.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, an EP came out from Haley Steinfeld. Two of my favorite women on the same day released stuff. I haven't checked it out yet, but now I'm in heaven. JoJo put out a new album. Car Seat Headrest put out a new album. How am I missing all this? Trivium put out what? How did I miss all of these?
I know. I feel like I missed so many albums that have already come out, and I'm just like, where was I?
Oh, yeah, we were just trying to survive.
Yeah, that's about it.
Fiona Apple, Enter Shikari, Black Dahlia Murder came out with one. I missed Nightwish's new album, though. I haven't been following them as heavily as I used to. So I might be okay with not checking that out. All Time Low came out with a new album.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
I know a lot of people are saying it's like as good as the Nothing Personal era, which like the Nothing Personal era is my favorite era. And to me, this album does not compare.
Yeah.
So for them to compare it to that era is just no in my book. But, you know.
You know who put out a good album this year is Pearl Jam.
Yeah, they did.
Gigaton is good. And obviously Taylor Swift for you people, but we've already talked about that, so that's why I haven't mentioned it.
You know, an album that everybody sleeps on is Velvet by Adam Lambert. And like, okay, I'm not even like gonna be a Queen hoe for a minute, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, I love Queen, but that's beside the point. And my feelings of Queen plus Adam Lambert are beside the point at this point, okay?
Yeah.
It is just a great pop album, which I liked Adam Lambert before like he even joined Queen.
Me too.
Like when he just had his solo stuff and was on the American Idol phase, you know. He had some great hits, had some great songs, and I had actually kind of slept on this album. Like I knew he was releasing an album, but
I didn't.
I just didn't listen to it because like there was so much music and it was just heavy. Like everywhere I went, I was listening to new music, and I just finally got around to listening to it about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It is my favorite album of the year so far, hands down.
Wow. Really? I'm going to have to check it out. You know what we ought to do is both of us, we need to just write down all the ones that we have like vested interest in and force ourselves to listen to them.
Oh, I know. I have. I've like wrote down every album. That's why I'm struggling.
You know what we ought to do? Let's keep each other on it. If we get through one a day, we should be able to get through all of them.
And I'm almost caught up with all the ones that I want to hear.
I have not.
Besides the ones that haven't been released.
Yeah. Obviously, Nine Inch Nails, I think I have it somewhere on my computer. They released Ghosts, like their ambient stuff. So, how did I sleep on Childish Gambino releasing some stuff? How am I a music fan and slept on that? Y'all, this year is weird.
I know.
Okay,
Like,
there's
I
a
mean, I'm not even a fan of Childish Gambino, but I felt like that should have been everywhere.
yeah. I'm going to mention this this artist, but I'm not going to mention their name because of their notoriousness. It starts with an M and ends with a Y because I don't want this taken down. I'm going to send it in message to you so you can look at it. Rican.
Okay.
There's two artists you do not mention on YouTube because they take down your stuff. They're notorious.
Really?
If you look at your message, you'll see it. And I'm sending you the other artist, even though they didn't put out anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that.
And the latter artist asked you to pay $50 to see them cover Elvis.
Yeah, right.
$50 is the starting ticket price.
Yeah, right.
I think it was actually close to 100 at one point.
Nah, like, forget that crap.
But to not forget that crap, Lapsley and Kelsey Ballerini put out albums.
Yeah, my friend's obsessed with Kelsey Ballerini's album. It's okay.
How did I miss Joy Wave and Group Love in March? And Circle Waves.
That's whenever we thought we were all gonna die. And we were just preparing for our deaths.
As we were preparing for our deaths, Mandy Moore put out some new music. Okay. I definitely need to listen to the Lisa Loeb and the Soccer Mommy. Also, there was one I skipped on for Record Day. It was actually Brandy Carlisle. She did it was her performance and like covers of Soundgarden songs. Had I not wanted what I wanted, that would have been my number one.
Really?
Yeah. The Word Alive, of course. Caribou came out with some stuff. I need to see what everybody has to think about Grimes because I know nothing, and I should like just at least check it out so I'm kind of aware of what's going on.
I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
Like the few songs I've heard I thought were weird. And like I'm not trying to be mean.
No.
I'm just being honest. Like I don't understand it. Yeah.
I need to finish completing Ordinary Man. Obviously Ozzy. Best Coast.
You've not listened to that album all the way through?
No, I haven't had a chance to.
Oh my Lord, it's so good.
I will listen to it, I know. But there's also Tame Impala, Suicide Silence, Nathaniel Ratcliffe, I'm assuming with the Night Sweats. Huey Lewis and the News put out... What? Huey Lewis put out new music. And Anvil. Of course, they talked about Sepultura. I'm just on like this list of like all the albums that came out. Can I do a hot take here?
Sure.
I wasn't that impressed with the new Green Day.
I'm not either.
I heard a couple of songs and that was enough for me. And I'm like, yeah, no.
I listened to it all. I'm sad, disappointed.
I know.
They wanted to name it Father of All, Mother Bleepers.
Yeah.
American Idiot Part 2. Bitch, I swear, if they would have put American Idiot Part 2, I would have disowned Green Day. American Idiot is a freaking bomb-ass classic, and this stands nowhere near it.
I've heard enough of Oh Yeah to last me a lifetime.
To make you want to, like, just lay in your bed and cry for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, me too.
That's also me listening to the wonderful song Epiphany off of Folklore. There's only a handful of songs that have ever made me like I can't listen to it because I will cry my eyes out. It's Epiphany off of Folklore. You owe it to yourself to at least listen to that. That is a beautiful song. Very beautiful song.
There's been some pretty good albums that come out this year, though. Post Animal put out a really good album.
Yep. Breaking Benjamin, Annihilator. I'm almost done, I swear. Pine Grove of Montreal. Who else? A Girl Named Eddie. Never heard of him. Of course, we got a King Gizzard, but it's mostly live stuff. You know who disappointed me this year?
Who?
Echo Smith.
Really?
I listened to Lonely Generation, and I'm like, how did you go from the wonderful Cool Kids to Genera Pop? Like, how? I was like, no. But you know who came out with a really, really, really good album?
Taylor Swift.
Apocalyptica.
Oh, okay. I know you love the Taylor Swift album, so I was just taking a shot in the dark there.
Apocalyptica put out Cello, and it is good. Like, really good. Not album of the year status, but good. Currently, my album of the year is Taylor Swift Folklore, Petals for Armor, and Quadra by Sepultura. How weird is that? The pop, the folk, and the metal.
There you go. All in one.
All in one. Who knows? Maybe Phoebe Bridgers might come in and smack me upside the head. I don't know. I am interested to hear the new Kesha. I am, with all the things that kind of happened with her and all that. I'm interested to hear that. Because I actually, you know what? People think I'm weird. I actually do like pop music. But it has to be something that I can latch onto. And sometimes, of course, I like the sugar pop kind of stuff. But if I can latch onto it, then I like it.
Yeah, I like certain pop music.
Yeah.
I don't like it all.
Yeah, no. Heaven knows I have to. The only thing on the radio might be the all pop station, but it might be a couple of songs that I like. So, and there's probably like thousands more. I want to give a shout out to Problem Patterns. Y'all know I've talked about them before on the podcast. Wonderful band out of Belfast, Ireland. I know this is going to be out, but Bandcamp was doing their Bandcamp Fridays. They released some new stuff for some wonderful people. After this, go check out Problem Patterns. Really, really good stuff. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Twitter friends with the drummer from the band.
Cool.
But also, I just want to give you a shout out. I met the drummer. Her name is Beth from back in the Paramore fan club days.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's cool.
I keep up with a couple of them, but one main. The others is kind of like, oh, you know, just to catch up. Wait a minute. What? We missed a Bob Dylan.
Yeah, Bob Dylan come out with a new album. Neil Young come out with a new album.
Yeah. What? I feel like we slept and we've missed like 2 years worth of music.
Yeah, a lot of music has been coming out this year. It's insane.
Oh, I totally forgot. Casey Hill. I love Casey Hill. Singer-songwriter, cool, funky kind of stuff. I need to check that out. That came out back in July. I'm sorry, you know who you are that you're listening, that I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. You're yelling at me. I know you're yelling at me right now. I will probably, by the time you hear this, have checked it out.
Like me freaking out that you hadn't heard the full Ozzy Osbourne album. Like, what?
You see, we need to keep each other, like, on it. Bruce
It's
Hornsby,
so
really.
good.
All right, before I get too deep into the deep dive, do you want to explain to the audience, now that we've fully gone off the deep end?
And wasted your time.
Exactly. I have one last thing to kind of add. The Tony Hawk remake came out. I played the tutorial. It's good. Go get it. That's all I have to say for now. Anyway, would you like to explain what we're doing in this episode?
All right, so we have 3 super groups that we have compiled.
Mm-hmm.
and we're each going to go through a super group. So one super group is dead members of bands and or dead artists that we would like to be in a band together.
Mm-hmm.
One is members who are alive. And then we've also done one that's mixed where they're alive and dead. So these are just like some awesome, insane super groups that we would love to see. Some of our favorite members and some of our favorite artists. So this was really fun to do. I was really excited to make this list, and I can't wait to see what you have on your list.
So, this was tough, honestly. As I was sitting here, I'm like, who do I put? Who do I put? And we made it hard for ourselves because we also made it so that if we choose one member of a band, you can't choose another member from the same band. It has to be almost like a true supergroup type deal. So, I don't know where you want to start off. Do you want to do all the late musicians, the ones that have passed away?
Yeah, sure. Let's start there.
Okay. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Those who know me know this one was coming from a million miles out. For me, drums and bass are the backbone of any good rock or song that includes like the instrumentals. I'm not talking about pop music because sometimes pop music has drums, sometimes it doesn't. If you think about Gautier, like state of the art, some of that, it does have some rock fundamentals with some of the drums, but it's still a semi pseudo pop album. But those who know me know this one was probably a long time coming. For me, I got to put John Bonham from Led Zeppelin behind the drum set. If you think about at that time in that era with what he was doing, if you listen to Moby Dick, I don't know how much you know about Led Zeppelin, but if you haven't heard Moby Dick, you're going to listen to that and think, how did this guy's hands not fall off?
Yeah, I've heard it. It's great.
So you know what I'm talking about with the bongos and everything. So
yeah, I almost chose him, but I figured you would, so I chose somebody else, so we wouldn't have the same answer there.
But it's just, when I think about the story behind how I collected records and everything, and all of that, it's Led Zeppelin's always been kind of there for me. They're not top like number one bands, but I still have a love and admiration for them. And it's mainly because of John Bonham. I mean, When the Levee Breaks, of course, is a traditional folk song that like a lot of people have covered. But it's the damn drums that have made it. The way he just played them and the energy. If you listen to like How the West Was Won and a whole bunch of like the live tracks, he not only takes the studio album, but he ups his game with the way he did it. He truly, to me, is one of the best drummers that ever sat behind the drum set. And I hate to put a number one because I love so many of them for so many different reasons. I will say one that I did not pick, and it was very hard not to. Matty Best from Tonight Alive and currently Sleeping with Sirens. The reason I'm shouting him out is he just barely missed the mark on one of my bands. But to me, he has that caliber of drumming that John exhibited. And it's kind of funny. People do hear Tonight Alive, but they also sleep on them too. But to me, to get back to it, I start with John Bonham. I think just because, of course, we all know the history behind Led Zeppelin and everything, but I would love to hear him take on everything with the bassist of this band, Lemmy Kilmister. So, Motorhead, Ace of Spades. I always, whenever I do my metal showcase, I always try to talk about Lemmy. I don't know every Motorhead song, but everything that I have heard, he brought something new and different. And just to think, the way that John Bonham drums, and then to have Lemmy be there on bass, kind of working together with him in tandem, would be so kind of different because of the way that the Motorhead songs are structured. I just want to hear, something kind of different with all of that. So, with that being said, I would also have him be on vocals because, of course, he exhibited. He was the singer of Motorhead, and he was just a great vocalist. So, I have another one you probably saw 1,000 miles away. Chris Cornell on guitar and vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Because, anything he touched was amazing. I literally heard his cover of Patience. It wasn't my first time hearing it, but I was hearing it on the road home. He brought a whole new level to that song. And everything, I could spend 3 podcast episodes that are 3 hours long talking about the impact of what he did and how good he is. I almost put Prince here. But just because I want to hear what Chris Cornell would have done with Lemmy and John Bonham, kind of all working together, I really would have liked to hear that. It's probably grungy. It's probably heavy. It's probably got those sludgy guitars. But I had a curveball that I put with my band. And I wanted to bring back Lane Staley. Because I've heard Eddie Vedder with Chris Cornell. I never got to hear Lane sing with Chris. And I would have killed to hear those two sing together. Lane has more of a sour... what I mean by that is they sing in minor chords, so it kind of sounds sour, but not really. Do you know kind of what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So with that minor key and Lane coming in and, singing a little bit and having Chris be kind of on guitars and them moving back and forward and maybe Lemmy taking on a song and then, Lane staying back a song, maybe doing like a writer thing where Lemmy and Chris kind of work together. But to me, this would be like my big super group. Because these are all men that have had an impact on me. I've talked about this in one of my videos, but Lane passed away on my birthday, the day he passed away. And I also, unfortunately, was alive when Kurt Cobain, passed away, both on my birthday. And then also my favorite comedian died on my birthday. So I try to use that day to celebrate them. But I was like, I can't, in good conscience, not put Chris Cornell and Lane Staley together. Because I would have loved to hear what those two would have brought to the table. And I think even if Lemmy wasn't singing on those tracks, he'd bring something different to the table along with Chris, shutting on the guitar and then John behind the drums. I think this is... It's mostly kind of grunge, but I think it represents different eras. So you have kind of the 60s, 70s drumming, the mid-70s, 80s kind of bass, and then like the 90s grunge modern era with Lane and Chris Cornell.
Nice.
So what is your supergroup? Unless you have any like comments on what I was saying.
No, I mean, that's an awesome supergroup. Yeah, that you totally killed it. I kind of imagine some of those people would be in your super group. Like I feel like I kind of have a feeling of who's in your super groups. And I wasn't surprised by any of those. But now mine is kind of a little all over the place, and I'll explain it more. I'm gonna kind of just mention who would be doing what,
right,
and then kind of go into the why. Okay. Because when I say it, it'll sound really weird, I feel like. Mm-hmm. So, now I'm going to say I had a piano player for all of my super groups because I like piano being mixed in there a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I had to choose Little Richard because he just is one of the first people that comes to mind when I think of fantastic piano players. Mm-hmm. And vocals, you mentioned him earlier, Kurt Cobain. I couldn't not pick Kurt Cobain, which, okay, again, weird combination here, but we're getting there. So on the guitar, we would have to have Jimi Hendrix because, again, one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And we couldn't have a supergroup without him. Mm-mm. And now to the bass, Barry Oakley of the Allman Brothers. This is probably, again, another like weird one to put in here. But we're getting there. And finally, with the drums, Keith Moon from The Who, which I'm not a huge fan of The Who, but it kind of works in here. So now I know this is kind of like a weird mix of people, but The Who and the Allman Brothers were bands that I really associate with my dad. And I remember hearing a lot of their music in the car. And so, I mean, I associate both of these guys with being great, you know, bassists and drummers are great musicians. And I really think that if you put them together, they would just rock it. And I mean, I think that would be just super fun to have them together. Also, I kind of wanted to hear like Jimi Hendrix and Little Richard like play together, because I feel like that would just be so much fun. Like if you had, you know, Little Richard on the piano and Jimi Hendrix playing the guitar and them harmonizing, I thought that would be like super cool. And of course, you know, I had to throw in Kurt Cobain because he was one of my first music loves. And I feel like he would throw that nice, like grungy rock element into there that I think would just like take this band over the top.
Oh yeah.
So it's a little weird, and I know it's strange. But yeah, I feel like that would be like a perfect mix for me.
Yeah, and I could definitely kind of hear that in, you know, in all of that. You know, it's I would want to hear that.
I feel like it works. It sounds strange, but it works. I feel like
it does. It does really. Actually, I could hear it in my head.
Like in a strange way, it works. I was thinking I'm like messed up in the head or something. People are gonna think I'm crazy. They're gonna be like, "What does she listen to?" But yeah, that is my dead supergroup.
All right, so my mixed supergroup. I think we should do it like this: late musicians mixed, and then all alive. So. Do you mind if I go next for the mix, or do you want to go next?
No, go ahead.
Neil Peart, Rush. I mean, what he brought to the table rivals what John Bonham brought. So it's like I got my cake and I ate it too because I got to choose those two. I mean, I was listening to, I had to get some blood drawn because, you know, that's medical stuff. And it's like, oh, that time of the year to get checked up and all that fun stuff. So I heard Spirit of Radio on the radio, and I always listened to it, but sometimes I didn't listen to it, but I really just kind of listened into it. And it's not that I didn't hear it before, but there was just something about the way that the intonations and the drumming and everything that kind of went through it that really stuck with me. And there's like 1,000 drummers that I could have chosen. You know, Sean Kenny from Alice in Chains is a runner-up for me. You know, it's when I was just thinking like, oh my gosh, it like kind of impacted me. I could also do Danny Carey in this too. So think of like Neil Peart or Danny Carey from Tool. But to me, Neil Peart fits in with what I want to do with this band. And I put Geezer Butler on the bass. I really want to see what he would have brought to the table with Neil Peart. And then add another layer of that is because we did one per supergroup, I could tweak everything. I went with Jimmy Page on guitar. Either that or Eric Clapton. I was torn between the two. Actually, you know what? Let's throw a curveball. I'm going to put Eric Clapton there.
Gosh darn it.
We can both choose the same one. Trust me on this.
He's in a different supergroup for me, so it's okay.
And you know who I would have on guitar and vocals with Clapton on vocals? Terry Kath of Chicago.
Nice.
Now, I don't know how much you know about Terry Kath. I love Chicago. And, I've been watching a bunch of documentaries. There was one by his daughter, who unfortunately did not know her dad that much. Do you know how he passed away?
I don't. I'm kind of like a casual
Okay,
fan, so
so
I'm
he
not
was
like,
a he was an avid gun owner, and he was cleaning his weapon, and he was
oh
messing around
no.
and shot himself.
Oh no.
One of those lives, and you know what? He was a responsible gun owner.
Oh, that's so sad.
Like, he was actually cleaning like his weapon. He was doing what he was normally doing, And unfortunately, he ignored one of the rules. We're not getting political, but he ignored the one rule everybody should know with a weapon. Do you know what that is?
Leave the safety on, number one,
And
and
always assume it is loaded.
loaded. Yeah.
So unfortunately, she did not
Oh.
know her dad that much, but she did a documentary about Terry Kath, and they talked to all the guys in the band. She even got Peter Cetera to sit down for an interview to talk about it. And if you know anything about Chicago, that's like a whew, we don't touch that. That is like, if you want toxic and like hissy fits and like anger, don't even touch that. But she even got him to sit down for an interview. And it's interesting to think he's in the Hall of Fame too,
Mhm.
especially because Rush is in there too. But it's the reason being is the way he thought about music composition. If you listen to Chicago Transit Authority, which I highly recommend, it is definitely going to be in my top 100 albums. The very first song is called Introduction. And basically Terry wanted to, and I think I'm paraphrasing from all the specials. So if I don't leave a link below to it, unless if anybody wants to link me below to the specific special. But basically it's he wanted to introduce the band, and the song is called Introduction. But the way he came about doing things and the way he thought, and his guitar is just as iconic as like Jimi Hendrix. Actually, did you know Jimi Hendrix went backstage after a Chicago concert and said right to Terry Kath's face, "You are the better guitarist."
Really, I didn't know that.
Yes, it is well documented. Every single band member can confirm it.
Hmm. See, like I don't know too much about like Chicago personally, so I've never really dove into that. And that's probably something I've just like read and overlooked. But
Okay,
yeah, that's really cool.
I want you to do something for me after this is done. Go listen to a track called Freeform Guitar. And I want you to tell me how you think Terry Kath pulled that off. Because to this day, no one knows how Terry Kath did that with the guitar.
I'm very intrigued. I will have to go listen to
Yes.
that.
Yes, of course you know all the hits and everything, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
with the
for
way,
sure.
the deepness of Terry's voice, along with like the kind of softer, the way, Clapton is, I would love to see these two kind of, in my ears and my thoughts, guitar gods work
Hmm.
together with two of like the best kind of prog metal to see if it leans more towards a metal side. Because I know you're going to talk about Clapton, probably. So I'm
Yeah,
I'm not I'm going to hold off what I thought there, but to me, I really want to see what Clapton would bring to the table with Terry Kath. And if you know what, I'm going to throw one more curve because you added a piano player. I'd love to see what Warren Zevon would do lyrically with all these guys. Because you know me, I love me some Warren Zevon.
nice.
All right, so that is an interesting picture, I think, in the head to kind of think of like the darker lyrics that he would bring to the table with Clapton and Cat. I would love to hear what this supergroup would bring to the table.
Yeah, that's definitely a very interesting super group.
Yours was really good too. I would
Oh,
love to hear
thanks.
Little Richard with Kurt Cobain.
I know, like, wouldn't that just be so cool?
I'd really like to hear that. That would be so interesting to hear. Now
Yeah,
I'm picturing it in my
I'm
head. I'm
all
going to
for
keep
that.
picturing it in my head while you go.
Okay. So my mixed super group, I'm going to start off with the vocals and piano because I knew I wanted this vocalist to be on here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was thinking, like, who could I pair her with? My mind immediately went to, this person. So the vocalist would be Amy Winehouse. She is, oh my gosh, uber talented. Her voice was just beyond amazing. And like, I hate that we lost her so young. I
Yep.
just sit and think about all the things she could have done, all the things she could have put out.
Mm-hmm.
But who I really wanted to pair her with, piano wise, was Carole King.
Ooh.
Because I feel like Carole King has that like perfect kind of influence on Amy Winehouse, and I feel like their music would just blend so well, which also leads into the guitar. I would have Roy Buchanan on guitar, which I just kind of got into Roy Buchanan not long ago, but he's got that bluesy influence that Amy had in her vocals, and I feel that would pair really well with Amy and Carol in that. And then my bass and drums are kind of like outliers, but I feel like they work pretty well. On bass, I would have Mark Hoppus of Blink-182 because, I mean, he's a great bassist anyway, and I feel like he could really get into like the bluesy jazz genre that this would be, and I feel like it would be really cool. And then we have my favorite drummer of all time. You knew I was going to talk about Queen at some point. I'm talking about Queen now. Roger freaking Taylor. I love this man with my entire being. He is my favorite drummer of all time. I mean, he even had like a solo career where he played the guitar and he sang. Like, I'm not even going to get into that because I love this man like wholeheartedly. And I just think he is such an outstanding drummer. And I really think that he would like just take this band over the top.
Nice.
Mic drop. This is my favorite supergroup that I made. By the way,
you know what? I really want to hear that. The minute you said Carole King, I was like, I got chills.
Intrigued?
Like, I want to hear this. Ah.
I know, right? Like, can you, I mean, even if you just had Carole King and Amy Winehouse, could you not just see that working perfectly?
Oh.
Like, forget everybody else. I mean, don't, obviously, but like, just those two alone could do some killer stuff. But like, I mean, then when you add everybody else on top of it, just amazing.
Yeah. I'm going to give special mention because this person could be in my either all alive or mixed. I have to give shout out to Taylor Momsen because she can do anything on vocals. So she's kind of a floater in between everything. But now we're going to get into the all alive. So, of course, I didn't put Matty Best behind, the drum set, but I put Dave Grohl behind the drum set. I mean, how could I not? How could I not? Have you seen...
Ooh, that's such a cool idea.
Because, of course, he played the drums. I heard he was in this one band. What was it called? Nirvana?
Yeah, that band that nobody ever talks about.
Exactly, right?
You know what? Okay, like, Dave Grohl is so overlooked when it comes to Nirvana. Everybody is all about Kurt Cobain, and people don't even realize that Dave freaking Grohl played the damn drums.
I will say
and
this.
He was so good.
I am not the biggest Nirvana fan. I've been out there for that. I still love them. I still love Nirvana. Shut up. But it's because of Dave that mainly pushes me over it. Like, lead. The freaking drums, the way he and Kurt, that like that, the way they kind of work together is amazing. The stuff you don't hear on the radio is the good stuff.
Yes, like that. Oh my gosh!
Like, have you heard the Nirvana Live at Reading? Like that CD?
Yes, that is like my favorite. I have it on vinyl too.
I hate you. Cause
I love that album. It is like one of my favorite live albums of all time.
If I had to pick one album, I know I have Nevermind, but if I had to pick if I had to pick two albums by Nirvana to have on vinyl, it would be Unplugged and Live at Reading. because
Yeah,
those are some of my
Unplugged
favorite
for
versions.
sure.
You know what? No.
Everyone definitely has to listen to Unplugged in their lifetime because it
Yes.
is amazing.
You know what? Now I need to look up how much Live at Reading is on vinyl just to see if
It
it's.
was like $30, I think, when I bought it.
That's actually not bad. That's
I mean,
not
it's a
bad.
double LP. It's really nice.
Yeah. I love when I put in that CD the first time and I was driving. I was like, oh, what is this coming out of my speakers? Oh my god! You
Yeah,
know,
so good. Oh my gosh.
it's beautiful. $28. So when I have some money, because I just overspent by a lot, because I got Scott. Yeah, because Scott Pilgrim was what I was. I got the new Tony Hawk game. I got a whole bunch of Record Store Day stuff. So that I might have to put the feelers out for like friends to say, hey, this is what I want for Christmas. Know what I mean? So to move back, Dave Grohl on the drums. Also, Foo Fighters were. I think I talked about this before. They were supposed to play here in April.
Ugh.
Yeah, here in Virginia Beach, on the beach.
I want to go see them.
Okay, y'all know me. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. How could I not put Mike Inez on bass? How could I not put my favorite bass player of all time on bass? I did. So, because Alice in Chains, of course, you know my love of them, and you know every time I go see them, I sit on Mike's side. I sat on Jerry's side once. I always sit on Mike Inez's side of the stage. What he might not be. I mean, he has the technical prowess, but the way he plays and just the energy he brings to what he does, and just the thought process he has behind music, is why I put him here. Of course, Dave and Mike, they're from the Seattle stuff, so I think you're gonna like who I have on guitar a lot.
Who am I? Is it Brian May?
It is Brian May.
I was so torn between putting Brian and Roger on this list. I was like, the loves of my life. What do I do? Oh my god!
The reason
but I had to choose Roger.
Is, have you seen Spider-Man 2?
Bits and pieces.
Have you heard the soundtrack?
Yes.
Do you know that Jimmy Glecko did a song with him, Someone to Die For, which was a Chris Cornell song?
Mm-hmm.
His guitar work on that, anything he touches, I mean, I could put Iron Maiden. There's so many that there. But just the way I thought here is, I want to hear what Brian May and Dave Grohl come up with Mike Inez.
I mean, that would be very cool. Brian May, I feel like he could fit into any band, honestly, because he's just such a good guitar player, and I feel like he could really like fit into any genre that he wanted to. So, he's got the skills.
I have 3 vocalists in my band.
Ooh.
All female. The first one being Diamante. If you have not heard her sing, you owe it to yourself to go hear her music. She is just amazing. I have seen her twice. I saw her in December with like maybe about a crowd of like 20 or so. Her energy on stage is something to behold. Just the way she moves around, you know, when she's playing, you know, working with King Dre on guitar. He's a cool dude. Like, if you don't know King Dre, go look him up on Instagram. He did a blindfolded cover of Cliffs of Dover. And missed only 3 notes. But
nice.
To me, it was perfect. Ones that didn't make the cut, Joe Bonamassa. But that's my brain. I think of different things. But so Diamante. Who else would I put on vocals? Taylor Momsen. Like I said earlier, she was floating between the 3. I would stick her right here with the All Alive Band. Now, would I love to hear her with Chris Cornell? You bet your ass I would. And I bet she does such a good job. She did a cover with, oh goodness me, Matt Cameron recently. If you haven't watched it, I got chills. It was so good. And finally, y'all know me, y'all know me, y'all know me, singer of my favorite band, Jenna McDougall. I want to hear what she brings to the table with Diamante and Taylor Momsen. The three kind of, and I could say Haley Williams, but Haley's
I was gonna say no Haley Williams.
She's on an island by
surprises
herself.
Me.
But
she's in her own band.
Yes, she's. I mean, I thought about Haley, but I thought, who would I want to hear mixed together? And while I do love Haley, I probably do Haley and Taylor Swift as a separate entity. I would hear that. Like, we could do Dream. We could do another episode on like Dream, like team ups, which would be something different. But I want to hear Diamante and Taylor work together, and then hear Jenna's kind of vocals kind of going through, especially her writing style. I want to hear kind of like all these three women, see what they bring to the table. Because to me, I listen to a lot more female fronted than male dominated. And that's kind of weird because I did mostly men in these things here. But I find myself listening to a lot of women writers and a lot of women singers. So it's like I could not in good conscience not choose Taylor Momsen in one of these, because she just brings something so different to the table. So nice. I loved your reaction when I chose Brian May.
Yes.
I knew you were going to get that reaction.
I knew I was going to get excited because, like, you had already kind of mentioned it before. So I was waiting for you to be like, okay, you're going to get excited. But yeah.
Now it's your turn.
Okay. Now, this supergroup is, I feel like, again, pretty weird, but also would be fun. So in the Alive supergroup, I immediately had to put my man, John O'Callaghan from The Maine on vocals. The Maine, one of my top 5 favorite bands. John O kills it. They have done rock. They have done pop. And he kills it. Like, he's just got such a nice voice. It makes me want to cry. I love him with every fiber of my being. So I could not choose him. And when I was thinking about who he could kind of harmonize with, I thought about putting Billy Joel on the piano because I thought they would harmonize really well. And, you know, Billy Joel can play the piano like no other. I love Billy Joel. My mom got me hooked on him when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And he's just always been like one of those fantastic piano players that just sticks out in my mind. And I mean, I thought they would just like sound so good together. So then I started thinking of guitar, and I was like, well, you know what? Eric Clapton is pretty versatile. He, you know, plays some blues, some rock. He's, you know, one of the greatest guitarists ever. Mm-hmm. And every time I think of Clapton, I think of that 70s show where Eric and Steven draw Clapton as Jesus. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you've watched that 70s show or if you know what I'm talking about, but it is great. And every time I think of that, I'm just like, Clapton is God. Like, that's how we think of it. And then for the bass and drums, this is where I get a little excited. So of course I had to go with Geddy Lee from Rush. I couldn't not. I love this man. I remember the first time I ever like listened to Rush and saw a picture of Rush, I was so intrigued with Geddy Lee because I loved his little goatee. I don't know why I love that about him, but I do. And he's a phenomenal bass player. So I had to throw him in there because I thought him and Clapton would work really, really well together. And saving the drummers for last because drummers are my favorite. Mm-hmm. I had to include Tommy Lee from Motley Crue because he kills it. Like, he's such a talented drummer. And again, I feel like he's super versatile, so he could really fit in anywhere. I couldn't not include him. Motley Crue is one of my favorite bands as well, so I couldn't not include a member from Motley. Yeah. And I feel like he fit better in this group. And it's just This one's again a little everywhere. I feel like my mind's a little everywhere
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so you probably all think I'm crazy, but those are my super groups.
Yeah, we could do a follow-up episode. Like, everybody was like in the comments. This was tough. Like,
Yeah.
we could do another set of groups, but these are the ones that we kind of thought, who would we want to see kind of working together?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were talking about Billy Joel.
Yes.
I heard a cover of Vienna when I was just trolling around on YouTube's. Grace Vanderwall put out a performance of Vienna in 2019. Oh my goodness. Vienna is a song that means a whole lot to me. Reminds me of my dad. Of course, The Stranger is my favorite album from Billy Joel. It's actually in like my top 3 albums of all time, which is saying a lot. That's revealing a little bit of my top 100, but you don't know where it's going to be placed. So it's just know it's in the top 3.
It's somewhere in there.
It's somewhere in there. It's somewhere in the top 3. But her cover, I'm telling you, she added so much soul to that. She has like a little bit of kind of a gravelly voice with some of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like enthralled with this performance. You owe it to yourself to go watch that. I'll link you after we're done here.
Yeah, I'll have to go check that out because I've not seen that. Although, if you have not seen Ben Platt sing Vienna, it was in The Politician, which is a series he's in on Netflix.
Yeah.
But I believe they've just released the audio to it as well.
I'll check it out.
He is a phenomenal singer. People sleep on him so much. Oh my God, I love Ben Platt.
Speaking of sleep on, you know what cover I slept on for the longest time? Heart's cover of Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, that's a good
cover.
Good cover. And I don't even really like Heart that much. Like, I'm not a big Heart fan.
But when they did the Kennedy Center Honors and Jason Bonham, John Bonham's son, was on the drums,
yeah,
I watched it and I'm like, with the choir and everything. I was like,
good.
So, you remember earlier when I told you I had a good story about Bret Michaels?
Yes.
Think your mind back to when I said that. Now's the time for the story. So, this is the same year I saw Foreigner, Styx, and Kansas in concert. Amazing show. Amazing show. But this was 38 Special, Bret Michaels, and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Now, I had seen 38 Special on a couple of free concerts from the American Music Festival. They're actually the second most band I've seen live. This was back when Mr. Van Zant was still performing in the band and he didn't retire. Mm-hmm. So I had seen them live a couple of times beforehand, so I was like, do I really? But it's like, I gotta go see Skynyrd. Okay. So, unlike my Motley Crue show, which I've talked about before, with you at least, where I got completely soaked, it was still a fun show. But it had been light raining, and it's an amphitheater, so there's covered seating and then like a lawn area that turns to mud in the rain. I think you know why I said that. I'll get to it. So 38 Special comes on, great, go back there. Bret Michaels put on a great-ass performance. Like, it was fun, people were singing along, he was making it great, all that. So, as we keep going, the rain starts to kind of trickle through. Now, when you're at a concert and you're outside, rain's going to happen. It's unfortunate, but you can still have the show, right? So, it starts lightly raining through Bret Michaels' set, and the rain's continuous. So it's like, oh, great, well, I'm going to have to dodge some raindrops on the way back, right? So, as the night goes along, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. Then comes Bret Michaels singing Sweet Home Alabama with the members of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Let me tell you, that's a memory for the record books. That was a fun thing. Bret Michaels put on a great show, by the way. You should go see him live. If and when all this comes out and he comes through, go see him live. You will not be disappointed. Trust me.
I want to so bad.
I'll have to send you a picture of the hat sometime. But it was so cool. Then comes the final song. And if you have seen Lynyrd Skynyrd, if you know Lynyrd Skynyrd, they are known, I mean, they're known for a lot of things, but they are known in the vein of concerts. And you know why, right?
Yes.
Play Freebird! You know what I want to do is I want to get a band and just to fuck with people, and I'm saying this actually to mean it, just one day I want to have a band when this is all done, and when someone screams Freebird, I'll be like, all right, so this is our last song because that fucker back there wanted to play Freebird. Check us out in the merch booth, and then just launch right into Freebird. That seems like something I would do, right?
Yeah, no, every concert I go to, people say Freebird, even if Lynyrd Skynyrd's not there. I'm like, bitches, shut the fudge up. Wrong concert.
I like Freebird, but I don't want to hear it
every single time.
Yeah, so
every second of the show, Freebird.
So just to mess with somebody, I would keep quiet on that. But if it was at the end of the show, I would definitely be like that. I'd be like, all right, thanks to we're going to take a request in the back. This is our last song tonight. We were going to show you a brand new song, but that guy wanted to hear a request. Have a good night, everybody. Because that seems like something that would be in a movie, right?
Mic drop. Boom.
And then we launch into it, and it's a really good cover, and then it'd be like, yeah, shut up, we know how to play it. Anyway. So, the opening notes of Freebird starts. The heavens open up, and it starts pouring down rain. And as the song builds and builds, there's thunder and lightning in the background. And they don't stop the show. They actually it was raining so hard, they let people from the lawn come up into the aisles in between where the seats were. And guess what? Nobody left. As the skies were opening and the water was draining down like a waterfall, pooling onto the ground below, everybody shared in that one moment the extended version of the song with the long ass guitar solo.
Of course.
And then when we left, it was still kind of dangerous out, but it eased up. It was like, for the one moment, the skies cried out, let us have a moment in rock history right here, right now.
That's awesome.
So, I have a lot more stories like that, but I actually, to kind of bring everything back, I liked your bands.
Cute. I enjoyed yours as well.
Mine were a little predictable on some of it.
I tried not to be super predictable.
But I also thought, what people mean the most to me, and I want to just hear them work together, you know?
Yeah. I thought about that as well. Like, who would I like to see work with this person or that person? Or
yeah. But it was a lot of fun. We are going
I feel like that's the hardest part, though,
yes!
Because, like, I mean, you can, like, say all these artists that you would like to, like, see together, but actually putting them together to make, like, a cohesive performance, because you've got to think about that, too.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, I'd like to see Patsy Cline and Gene Simmons. Like, I mean, like, those are two that just come up that are off the wall, totally different things. Like, you can't put those two together.
No.
Like, that just would not work. So you have to really think about, like, what would work in terms of the band, too.
All right, I'm going to grab the low-hanging fruit, Lou Reed and Metallica. Which did happen, but we're not going to talk about it because it didn't happen. But so I know we actually had another planned episode. It is coming out, but we're just now getting back into it. Our Dream Festival. Now that I'm gonna rebirth that idea, hopefully, eventually.
Yeah, if we could ever get 5 minutes to
think
work it out, yeah.
But we have the rules all set. We have everything we need to do. I just wanted to do this Dream Bands one so we can get our minds kind of going with it and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So, do you have any extra thoughts on this, or do you want to head to our closing thoughts?
I think I'm good. I've said my piece, I think.
I think I've said my piece too. So we don't like to schedule next episodes, but I'd like to think we can open up and have one be kind of relatively recent again. The reason being is we both work full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're on 2 different time zones too, isn't that right?
Yeah,
So
I'm on Central.
Scheduling is not too much of a nightmare, but you can imagine that it would be kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like no matter, like, if we're on the same time zone, live in the same town, it could just be 2 totally different lives, you know?
Yes. But I'm glad to take some time out to sit and talk with you. This is a lot of fun. I like just sitting here talking about music for like an hour and a half.
I know. See, I always enjoy just sitting down talking and, you know, talking about music and forgetting about everything else that's going on because, you know, you're thinking about music and what's coming out that you like and, you know, our favorite super groups. You're not thinking about everything else going on. You're taking your mind off of it and relaxing a little bit.
Exactly. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, night, whenever you're watching this. And since it is Suicide Prevention or Suicide Awareness Month, so if you need help, there are help resources out there. Do not feel alone. You know, it's a tough time right now, even on top of what is happening. So don't feel alone. And as I always say at the end of everything I'm in, when the waters get rough, please keep on sailing. Please keep going. I believe in you. The podcast I know believes in you. There are a whole bunch of people that believe in you. Even if you feel like you can't process the positive thoughts right now, please hear them. Please. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved no matter what your brain is trying to tell you. I'll be honest, I've had those thoughts before. I know what those thoughts are. You're not alone, and you are never alone. You can do this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm sending all the love I can to you. And do you have any closing thoughts for our listeners?
You've pretty much summed it up. I think we should just leave it on that.
All right. Well, until next time, thank you so very much for listening. And take care.